Wait, are you are you gonna count me in? Whatever. I'm just gonna go for it. Welcome to the Queen's Lead podcast. I'm your host, Amy Singleton, and as a child of the 80s, I'd love to say queens rule, but they don't. Queens lead. Being a queen means you are worthy to be a leader of people. The guests on our show do exactly that. They are leading the way in their businesses, families, and communities. And they're taking their rightful place in the spotlight, leading and inspiring the developing queens in all of us. Welcome to the Queen's Lead podcast.
Now here's your host, Amy Singleton, the queen of realness, leading conversations about business, life, and the real shit you want to know.
Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Queen's Lead podcast. Today, I am joined by Christina Vigil. She is the Declutter Queen, and you can see if you're watching on YouTube, we are wearing our mutual queen crowns today. So I'm excited to welcome you. Welcome, Christina.
Welcome. I'm so happy to be here. The minute I saw you with your crown, it was like, yep, she's my girl. I need to get with her.
That's it. And I should have pinned mine on. It just falls off in my head. I'll be placing that upon my head as she says queenly and leaderly things. But let's dig right in. Christina, tell the audience who you are.
Hi, everyone. Well, my name is Christina Vigil, and I am a mom of 3, a wife of 13 years, and opened up my own business called Declutter Queen. It's an organizing service here in Oklahoma City. And I have been labeled the Declutter Queen, and it's one that is truly amazing. Like I love my life, and there's always room for improvement, but that's who I am. It's who we are. And, I am the queen. I sprinkle little fairy dust wherever I go.
Yes, you do. Oh my gosh, you are just the brightest soul, and I love it. So tell us a little bit about your history, your past. What brought you to owning your own business? What happened before you decided I think I'm going to do this thing on my own, this whole life on my terms thing?
Yes. So I was in corporate America the last 20 plus years. I have ADHD and really just thought I could do one thing. Well, I was really good at customer service. I'm very an extrovert through and through. I'm the kid that always says, calm down, calm down. And so I was really, really good at that. But I just told myself, because I was not good in school, this is the best you can do. So do it really, really well. Well, raised the kid, he's 17 now. And it was one of, I wanted to give him everything. So I worked and worked and worked and made a really good living, but I was never at home. Well, then me and my husband tried for years to have a baby, and I was scared to death to have a baby because of having seizures and everything with my son. So then it finally was like, he's old enough to kind of be on his own, fix himself cereal in the morning, those types of things where why do I want to start all over? So we quit trying, and voila, I end up pregnant.
Not always how it works.
Yes. And then I was planning on having a medical procedure, a hysterectomy. And 3 days before my surgery, they canceled all elective surgeries due to COVID. Oh. And now I have a 3-year-old.
We have another thing.
So I was really good at my job, but it became just a job. There was no passion left. And when COVID happened, I had to slow down. I mean, even though we were busier than ever, I couldn't go back to the restaurant when it wasn't my time to be there. I couldn't go in and save the day. I couldn't be everywhere at once. I had to stop and be present in the moment. Well, that took me on my spiritual journey, and that took me on being a learning-based individual and growing and figuring out why my life was in craziness, and how it truly was affecting my work, affecting my home life. How am I going to raise two kids when I can't even control the environment I'm in right now? So
Yeah.
I had to look within, and it was not pretty, not pretty at all.
Looking into the windows of our own soul is not always a pretty thing to look at, is it?
No, it was okay. I was $115,000 in debt at that point,
Mm,
and I was working my ass off for nothing to show for it.
yeah.
And it was, I woke up one day, and I'm like, I am 37 years old and I have no clue who I am, what I'm
Mm,
doing. I I don't even know what the joke is all about. You know what I mean? Like, I had totally quit learning at everything. It was
yeah.
just going through the motions. And for the first time in my adult life, I picked up a book, started listening, and then just reading along. And um, it was Girl Wash Your Face. That was my first
Oh,
rule.
that was your first one. Oh my gosh, I love it.
And it was
Girl,
like,
wash your face.
uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
And then there was Ed Milet's The Power of One More. And
Mm,
then it just snowballed. And then I started listening to podcasts. And then I really started digging into my ADHD, because throughout my whole adult life, I just was like, refuse to take medicine. I've got this. This is working for me. And it really opened a lot of doors on how living in flight or flight really affects our ADHD and the surroundings that we're in. And, you know, so that's where the organizing side came from, because
mm.
I saw a girl on TikTok and she was like, I have ADHD, and this correlates with this. And it was like, wait a second, I do that stuff already, but I'm missing that one little step. And then, as my mindset was getting better, because I was really learning again for the first time in my life,
Mm,
and
yeah.
really going to therapy and then working on reprogramming my subconscious, then I realized, wait a second, the more I clean up my house, the more I'm
Mm,
organizing when the kids go to bed, and all of these little things, my life is getting easier.
yes.
And so I just kept on and kept on. Well, originally, I did not want to organize, I wanted to resell. So my friends were like, I said, I will organize your closet if you let me have your clothes where I can resell them.
Yeah.
And they were like, Christina, you're really good at this. I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want things in pretty little bins, and, like, well, here we are,
It
doing
doesn't
it
always have
now.
to, yeah, it doesn't always work out the way you think it's going to work out, does it?
Yes. So, I, like I said, when I lost my job in October 2022, I was like, well, I'm just going to resell, because I don't want the typical 9 to 5. I know, I mean, because I made a lot of extra money throughout the years doing it. And I really just wanted to help people, like, I wanted to help people with ADHD. I wanted to show them that, hey, there is an easier way. Or if you do have this crazy story and you feel like this is the best you can do, if you really want to, you can do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
So, the first year in my business, I opened up November 11th of 2022. And the first year was a little rocky, and here's why: is because I knew how to organize and I knew what the other people needed, but I still was trying to figure out the business side. I've ran other
Oh,
people's
yeah.
business. I ran other people's
Totally
business.
different ball game here now, isn't it, on our
Is
own?
it is, And you just jump in and get started and don't think about all of those little things that need to be done. And, really sending out the proper messaging and like what you're going to do with that. Like all I knew is I wanted to help people, and this is who I wanted to do. And, sometimes we get so stubborn that we can't see the bigger picture. So I really had to take my Christina out of the equation and put in, okay, how have I made businesses run successful for the last 20 years?
Mhm.
And so as I go on to this new chapter of really defining that and moving forward of what I learned, what I don't need to keep, where I need to grow, it's truly been life changing. And, I really hope that I can help just people in general, whether it be the mom that is restarting everything over, or it be the girl that is healing from all the major traumas and, just doesn't quite understand what direction to take, or whether it be the busy mom that just doesn't have time to organize that needs her life put together. Whatever the case may be, I just want to make sure that I leave my imprint and leave a little love wherever I go.
Yeah, 100%. What a beautiful story. There's so much to unpack here. Like I could ask you 100 questions, but I love that you talked back about how you quit learning because number one, you didn't have a very good experience in school, right? In public schools, like especially with a person having ADHD, like you were probably had all kinds of labels plastered all over you when you graduated or finally finished school. And so I totally understand that, like not learning. For me, like reading was a chore in school. I hated it. My parents really weren't readers, and so I was not, that value was not instilled in me. And I will never forget the first book I picked up as well that was the catalyst to my journey. It was I think it was the Jen Sincero, You're a Badass at Making Money. And that was the very first one I read sitting out in a camper in West Texas, crying and praying for a way to bring my husband home, knowing that I wasn't going to be able to go back to nursing physically. My body wouldn't let me, but going, how else can I make money? And it wasn't even about making money. It was about how can I look inward and figure out what am I capable of learning? What am I capable of doing that can actually serve other people? And all the culmination of all of our experience from the past is able to come forth whenever we start learning again.
Oh,
And
yes.
that was such a huge epiphany for me. Like, and of course you can take it too far. You can just sit around and read and learn and listen to podcasts and never take any action. But when you do listen to a podcast or you read a book and you take action, like incredible things happen. And I kind of felt dumb at first for not realizing that sooner. It was such an impact.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, and I mean, you're probably the first one that I've spoke to about out loud, is I actually originally wanted an academy. It's actually my LLC is AIM Academy, All In Mindset Academy. And I literally still to this day, 7 days a week, I practice the 6 keys to abundance, and then I put family and friends in there. But I learned something. So if I do listen to a podcast, I spend that time, I listen to the podcast, I document, like basically I'm turning it into the teacher. Okay, what did I learn? And then I have to go apply that through that day somehow, some way. So it gets instapled into my brain, and
Yeah.
rewiring that. So it's when like today I was listening to the 1 Minute Salesman, and so I took what I got out of that and then try at least 2 to 3 times the day applying what I learned from that. So then that way I've read it, I've wrote it, and now I'm taking action on it, because I
Mm.
was that way in the beginning. Is I was learning all this information and I was listening to all this, but there was no action. And then, I actually start my New Year's in November. So it's been that way for years. I don't know why. But I redo everything. And this year is all about intentionality and taking more time to make sure that I can have intentionality and the correct action. Yes, I want to still have very good productive days, but I don't need to pack every hour, but make sure that it's productive and intentional with everything that I do.
Yeah, I love that. How often are you reading, writing, and implementing? Is this like a daily thing for you? And do
It
you
is
use a
part,
journal? Like, how do you physically do it?
well,
Teach us, oh wise one.
either the morning or night. I try to do different, depending on what it is. So I do self on Sunday, spiritual on Monday, physical on Tuesday, Wednesday, time, and then family, friends, growth, and business. And what I do is either I find a podcast, or whatever book I'm reading, I just set a timer for 30 to 35 minutes. This is my, time. Like I was going to school per se, and I listen or I read or whatever the case, whatever that little lesson is all in my head, what it's all about. And then I apply it to what I'm doing. So if I'm reading a book, I'll read the book all week, but I will try to figure out what can I get out of it for myself. What developments that can I
Yeah.
use for myself. And then I just write a quick little 5-page little, not 5-page, 5-sentence little summary of that. And then I ask myself, how, in those 5 sentences, how can I apply this? Why was this resonating with me? And how can I apply that to myself? Or to, like the other day, I was listening to Brandon Burchard, and this will kind of just give you an example of what we ate 3 days ago is what we're feeling today. So, and a lot of people don't realize that. So then what did I do? I intentionally watched what I ate that day just so I could see the rewards of it 3 days later. And it actually, I felt amazing. So that's what trying to do, is really make sure, okay, if I'm not feeling well, if it's not in my, what did I eat? What did I do? How much sleep did I get? So it just kind of reprograms that of, well, I just feel like crap today. Okay, well, what's happened over the last few days?
Yeah.
So it's one, I never went to college, and I feel that I kind of go to, it's, if we want to learn and grow, we got to put in the effort to learn and grow. So that is part of my self-care, because I'm growing as an individual. And with that, and it might even be something as simple as, oh, wow, I think that this would resonate with a lot of people. So then I do that, it's part of my getting my shit together, literally. I mean, it's trying to educate myself on what's all out there, what is happening that could potentially get me to the next level that I am willing to go to. Because being a good community builder and being a learning based individual, you can get a lot out of your life.
Oh, 100%. And I love that you're able to and willing to share your ways with us, because I think this is something we can all do. I love that you said when you started learning again, then you looked inward. What did you see when you really paused to look inside, and what did you love about what you saw? And what inspired you to change when you looked inward?
Well, first, I've always had a beautiful soul. I mean, you could stomp me to the ground and I'm still going to, I mean, it takes a lot for me not to truly love you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I knew that everybody's always said, Christina, you've had the biggest heart. But I was so empty inside. My inner child was just crying, and my inner self was just dead.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of understanding that, especially from the spiritual side, of really releasing, because if you are holding in all of that stuff, new energy can't come into your life. If
Yeah.
you are not healing and digging in from the root, like opening your mind and your heart enough to know what's really going on, realizing the triggers that are putting you in those tailspins. And I have to do it daily, sometimes multiple times a day, not
Yeah.
beating myself up and, interrupting a thought because I'm saying it in a way that is coming off negative, even though I might not mean it negative. It is still coming off negative, which in return means my subconscious is taking over. And in order to recreate what you want, because we are all our own creators, but we have to get rid of those habits, those systems that no longer serve us. Yeah, they might have served us at one time, but it's no longer serving our higher self. And
Yeah.
and everybody is put on this earth for a purpose. It's up to you and you alone to find out what that is. And the only way to do it is look within inside you and do the inner work within inside you.
That's
I
right.
do a lot of scripting. I do a lot of letters, in the sense of, you hurt me and I forgive you. And a lot of people don't understand. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It is for you, so you can move on. And, a big one is boundaries. I am really learning boundaries and to use my voice,
Yeah.
use the communication that I'm learning, because also I didn't realize how much I was not communicating, even though I thought I was. And even
Yeah.
though I felt like I was yelling, hey, help me here, verbally, I was not communicating. And so it's one that it's hard, and it's hard to go back and not necessarily relive those things, but figure out what truly is making your surroundings, making your mind the way it is, what's truly behind those limiting beliefs. Okay, yes, you want to do such and such, but what truly is stopping you?
Yeah.
We can have all the self-discipline, all of this in the world, but if we don't heal, it's only one part. And there's a whole lot of parts that make the whole.
Yeah. Oh, so true. I have also been working through a lot of things from my childhood that I didn't really think were that big of a deal. But as I begin to unpack them, I think, it's revealed to me the behaviors that I have as a 42-year-old woman are in direct correlation to the things that happened to me, around me, in my world, from a very young person. And I really, because I didn't have a quote unquote bad childhood, I wasn't, in a situation that most people would look at and say, oh, poor Amy, like, she has a wonderful family and she has two parents and she has her grandparents and she has all these things and everything looked so perfect. And not to say that things weren't good, but there were still things that happened that are directly affecting my behaviors and the way that I think now, especially what's happening in the stories that we tell ourselves in our head over and over and over again. And it's been that mindset work that has been the biggest thing that I've really had to change in order to change the things that I'm doing. It had to start here in my
Mhm.
mind, right?
Oh, yes, because I literally have to pretty much hourly, nope, you're going to do this, nope, like we don't have time for that. Even this morning, I had an 8:30 appointment and it's like, I'm just exhausted. Well, are you really exhausted or you just don't want to get up and go? It's
Yeah.
until you program yourself. It's something that you got to work on. It's like a person can go to the gym 6 days a week, take off 2 weeks, and you have to get back there. And a lot of people don't realize that, yes, we can unclear our mind, but if we are not moving our bodies and getting that energy moving, that our vibration is still going to be a lot lower than it needs to be. Nobody's saying that you need to get out and run a marathon, and if you do, that's great. But moving that body, stretching that body is that stagnant energy. It's so important, that we are moving, because that's what our bodies are designed for.
Movement is life. People ask me all the time, how did you go from suicidally depressed to where you are now? And really the bottom line was movement. No matter how small that movement was, because I had literally stopped moving. I would not even move from my couch. I wouldn't even go to my bed to sleep. I had some kind of weird thing, but I stayed on my couch. I was super depressed. And leading into that organizational piece and the way that our environment affects the way that we feel, because of the way I was feeling and depressed, I would never say I was not like a hoarder or anything, but there were piles, Christina, piles of papers, piles of bills, piles of mail, piles of books, piles of clothes. Yep. I remember looking at my sink full of dishes and thinking, I will never overcome this mountain. I will never overcome this mountain of dishes, and dishes put me, almost in my grave. Clothes put me almost in my grave because my environment was so poor, because my mindset was so poor. And had I known someone like you that I knew could come in and help me without a judgment of what was happening in my physical world because of my mental world, would have been so helpful. And I'm sorry I'm getting emotional, but I just look back on that time and think like yeah.
And that's what people are constantly like, please don't judge me. No, I'm not perfect. Like, yes, I might wear this beautiful crown and I might look like I have my shit all together, but it is far, and that's where, as women, as moms, as, even men, is we need to stick together and quit judging people, because if we help each other, we can get out of this a lot quicker. But we tend to, nobody cares about my problems. I said it, and I didn't realize how much of an impact it does make for your home to be in better shapes, because I still battle with the dishes. I still battle with keeping up with 3 kids. It's not perfect. Nobody's saying that life has to be perfect. But when it comes to organization, let's just build some systems and clear out some stuff. This should be ever evolving. It shouldn't be, hey, I got my house all organized, we're good forever. No, it's ever evolving. In what season? Somebody's getting married, somebody's getting divorced, somebody's having a new baby, somebody's becoming an empty nester, somebody's family member just died. All of these things, and no trauma is bigger than the other.
Right.
And some trauma might have affected you in unbelievable ways that to me might have just been a normal day.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That is okay, because at the end of it, trauma still affects the same, and it affects our whole life. And especially intergenerational trauma that you don't even realize that you're doing, and you don't even realize the potential facts that you're putting on your kids unbeknownst, because we are not healed, and that was the hardest, because it was like the thing that I was running from more than any, I was directly putting it on my oldest son, not even realizing it, because it's just what we knew. We genuinely didn't know any better. And to break that, so my grandchildren can have a different life. And it wasn't like you said, it wasn't like he had this bad upbringing, but things could have definitely been a lot different now that I know what I know. And once you know, but if you're not in it, it's hard to feel that,
That's right. And I love that you say what we've always known. the things that we've always known and the things, the way that things are supposed to be. Those are the things that we have got to wipe off our vocabulary and start doing. I heard someone say, on another podcast, on the Mel Robbins podcast the other day, this, a psychologist was on there and she said, look, not everything is right for everybody at all times. If you are a depressed person, is not going to save the rainforest. So buy the paper plates and use paper plates. If you're overwhelmed by dishes, use paper plates for a while. This may just be for a season. Or I heard on another show the other day, or maybe I read it in a book, run the dishwasher 3 times. If you cannot find it within yourself to rinse those and scrub those dishes, put them in that thing and run that bitch 3 times. They'll eventually get clean. It doesn't have to be the way it's supposed to be or the way we always knew it to be in order for us to take a step forward and do something different that works for us in our brain and our organization and our home and our family and our life, right? I love that you're out there offering these systems to get people organized. Well, I mean, and it affects our brains. That's what I really love about your whole system.
And what I tell people all the time, I can come in and organize your house all day long. How are you going to keep it that way?
Right.
Because we didn't deal with this. Now, you know, if I need to just come in, everything's already organized, we're just, you know, changing a few things, that's one thing. But if you're here, you're calling me because you need help. There's no way we can. I mean, there's always a way. We can totally come in and do your whole home. But you're not going to be satisfied because literally it's going to put you into a tailspin because you've literally gone from one extreme to the other and you have no clue how you got there. And your thermostat needs to go back down because it's not comfortable, right?
Right. Look at all the episodes of Hoarders. They go into a hoard home, completely make it perfect and beautiful. And have you ever seen any of the follow-up stories on that?
There you go.
So rarely is it actually kept clean. So tell us, I know you don't want to give away all your secrets, but tell us some of the ways. Tell us some of the ways that you help people with that system of keeping it that way once you come in and sort of level the playing field again.
Let's say I will start with me personally. This is how I try to treat a lot of my clients is I started with my pantry because I lost my job. We needed to save on food because we've just gone to the store and bought whatever the heck we wanted to. And then it sits in there and, you know. Yeah. So my pantry was crazy. Like I actually have a pretty big pantry and it was like full to the max. Okay. So then that's all I did. So that was stage 1. I didn't use any, like, I just kind of, okay, I don't need this. This is expired. This is expired. Here's, you know, here's where the beans go. Here's where the kids' snacks go. We just started that. So then every night I would make the kids go to their little deal, make sure it was all picked up in the pantry. You know, when we got food, like Sam's or anything, we would all go and, okay, Edward, my oldest, these are your snacks. These are where they go. This is where, you know, the canned goods go. This is, you know, and then it was the kids helped me put it in there. Okay. So every night I would do like a 5-minute check of, okay, and literally I would set a timer on my phone, no joke. And I would go in there and straighten everything back up, you know, or I would call the kid that needed, even my 2-year-old, just to build that system every day, nonstop. Let's get this.
Yeah.
So we kind of got the systems. Then I started with my closet. Then I did that for 30 days. Okay, we're going to take the extra 5 minutes. Everything's going to have the same hanger when we're hanging up stuff, you know. So then I made sure my pantry was still going, you know, still trucking. But then every 30 days, I started a new one, but then upgraded the pantry. So then it was, okay, now we kind of, we maybe tweaked a little things because it just didn't seem right, you know, didn't quite work. So then I finally bought bins, from the Dollar Tree. So now we have bins that we put things in. We went for 30 more days, got it all. And then the 90-day mark is when I actually completely put labels on everything, kind of aesthetically pleasing, and still
To
to
make
this
sure
day.
it's gonna work, right?
So
Love
still
that.
to this day, every time we buy groceries, and it's one of those, make your kids do it now. Yes, it's going to take a little more time, but make them do it now. So still to this day, I go in there and from my phone, I order from the app of, okay, this is what I want for the week for groceries. Okay, I have this, 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 and this. The kids all need this. So in my little app, I'm making a grocery list immediately, to make sure. They already kind of have it on there, but I'm just checking to make sure because we all have an app synced through all of us. And then when
What
they
is this
get their
app?
to Dewey,
To Dewey. Okay. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
and then it syncs to our command center so everybody can see what's going on.
Nice.
So I literally make the 2-year-old put up his stuff, the 4-year-old put up her stuff, and it's one like they know, and they know that they get stuff every week, so I kind of look what they ate, what they didn't eat, things like that. But then I just went through the whole house, and then I set a timer on my phone for 6 months so then I could really wipe it all down. And so it's just about those systems, start small, master that, then go to the other one. And then there was one time that I had too much and I had to stop because things were getting a little back out of hand because it was too many. So it's okay. Let's make sure that we're keeping up with this. And then I have a daily, weekly, and monthly thing that literally is taped on, well, clipboard now, on of a checklist. Okay, did we mop this out the week? Did we clean the bin? Things like that, that is not so overwhelming because they're like, well, if you're doing this, no, it takes like 5 seconds because I keep it up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not so crazy because I keep it up. But that is truly the most important things, is start small. And when I go in, I always, very, very rarely do I do things in one day. One,
Yeah.
it's too much for the brain. And two, coming in with that like they can see the progress that they've made and kind of see where we're having things, to kind of see if they might like it, if they might not. And then I try to come back a couple of days later and finish up. And then I usually try to call like week and a half later. Okay, is there anything you're not liking? Is there any, how is that working? And then we go from there, because it's the overwhelm. Like it gets so much that you literally, a lot of people call it procrastination. No, you literally, you're frozen. Like
Right. Yeah.
you can't, no matter how bad you want to. And that's really where that flight or fight, that trigger, that, like we need to, and sometimes it's just so much, they don't even know where to start.
Right. And you
So
feel like you have to do it all at once. Like I felt so like extreme. It was like polar opposite. Either everything is piled up or it has to be perfectly organized. And I didn't recognize early enough that really it's an incremental thing, right? Just like it's
yes.
like a fitness journey, when my husband and I decided to commit to our fitness about a year and a half ago, we started by taking a walk outside our front door. That was it. Just go outside, right? And now, a year and a half later, that has progressed to bicycle riding and yoga, and my husband is boxercising, and I'm going to this Orange Theory and doing rowing and all this other majorly much more complicated workouts. But it started with walking. Once we mastered walking, then we bought some bicycles. Once we mastered bicycles, then we're like, okay, what else can we do? What else can we build on? And it feels so much more attainable and manageable
It
when you
needs to be,
build.
and it needs to be a lifestyle. That's like I tell people all
That.
the time with these fad diets, with everything. It needs to be a lifestyle. So
Right.
one, it's A normal home at least has 2 to 3 bedrooms, a kitchen, a living room, and 1 to 2 bathrooms. Okay.
Yep.
Pretty, and a garage of some kind of sorts.
Yep.
It's, if you literally are doing like a daily, weekly, and monthly thing, and then I literally, it basically works out like once a month, but it's about every 6 months per the room, is
Mhm.
I do a reset. Okay, well, okay, these things were working, these things weren't. What are we ready to get rid of? And it's a lifestyle because it's a new season. We have 4 seasons of the year. We go through different clothes. We shed new things come into our lives, new babies, babies leaving. And that's the problem, is we are not constantly working on keeping up with our lives.
Yeah.
And
Just
then it gets
existing and
so,
reacting to life will
and
cause you to be panicked.
right. And a lot of people don't understand that when God is not going to give you more than you can't handle. And literally, it's, you want a bigger house, you want this. Well, if you can't take care of the one you have, he's not going to provide that. So it should be an ongoing thing. Do you really need the bigger house, or do we just
No,
have
I never
things,
want a bigger house.
or do we just have things filling them?
That's right.
Yes, we all have memories, and we all have things that are very dear to us, but do we absolutely need all of it? That's for you. It's not for me to decide. That's for you to
Right.
decide, you know? But it should be okay. A lot of them can't make these big decisions. So let's just start small. For every 10 shirts, you get rid of one. For every,
Yep.
Something small, and then do it again next month. For every 5 shirts, you get rid of 2,
Yep.
until you can build that process. Because especially with our ADHD, is our brains are in such overload as it is, that you need to take things slowly so you can be able to process everything and it not be a shock to the system. And you
Yes,
don't put yourself
absolutely.
back in fight or flight.
That's right. Yeah. And it becomes such second nature. I mean, you don't even, I know you're setting, like, if you set that 5-minute timer at the end of every day, I think once people start down that path, they'll find themselves just doing it as a part of their, when you go around before you go to bed, you're locking all the doors, you're checking the pantry. Yep, yep, yep. It's there. And it takes 30 seconds to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I find myself picking up the clothes that, if someone left clothes, oh, they just go right in the basket. It just doesn't. But if you don't do those tiny habits, then that's when you become in the place where I was, and just completely overwhelmed, shutting your eyes to the world and ignoring it all. And then it just makes you feel worse on the inside.
Oh God, yes. I mean, and I was
Makes you
that
feel
girl.
so
I
bad.
mean, and it's just like for laundry. Mondays, last night was my daughter's night. She's 5 years old.
Yep.
She walks me to the laundry. She puts her stuff in. I help her, put it, like whatever the things are. And then
Hmm.
when it's time, we set a timer so she knows. So we go, we put the stuff in the dryer. And then while those are drying, we clean her room together. So I make sure, okay, where do you want this? Are we playing with this anymore? She helps me pick out her clothes for the whole week, because Monday is her day. So it got us through Monday. But
Yep.
I'm teaching her to be self-efficient.
Hmm.
Yes, does it take more time? Absolutely. But I know that her laundry is done every Monday. And guess
Yeah. And
what?
when
It
she's
doesn't,
15 and changing clothes 4 times a day, that will be something she can do and not something you
it's
have to do.
exactly. So do the work
That's right.
now so you can reap the rewards later. And it's the
Good.
constant, and I don't miss it. Even if I have a networking event, or even if I have something, we do it. So my husband will step in and say, okay, it's laundry day, and just taking her through those things. And I even let her try to hang them up. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's
Let her
it's
try.
one, yeah, because here's the thing, is we're building this system. Nobody says it has to be just perfect, because then you become OCD.
Right.
But
80-20 rule. I live my whole life by the 80-20 rule.
yes, and it needs to fit her,
Right.
like she doesn't like to put her shoes in the closet. Okay, well, line them up against the wall then,
Yeah.
like nothing has to necessarily be black or white. What works best for you and your family, and that's what I try to tell my customers is, I don't live here. Once
That's
I
right.
leave, it's you. So we need for you. I am here to give you suggestions. I am here to help you. I am here to be your body double. But when it comes to, this is not my home. This is your home. And when it is your home, you need to be comfortable in your own home.
That's right. That's right.
So that's
so good.
Yes. So that's
it.
my secret, is just starting small. Like I get people all the time, yeah, can you come do my whole house? Yeah, I can, but it's going to take about 8 months.
That's right. Yeah.
Because that's my name. And, I want to make sure that people walk away with value, not can I come back 15 zillion times, because it's not done.
Right. Yeah. I mean, good for business. Sure, I'll come reorganize it for you every month if you want, but you're never going to learn to do it on your own.
Right. Yes.
That's great.
So it's one of those that, yes, I will, but when it comes to what are you going to do when I'm not here?
Yeah, that's it. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your story and telling us how we can get our homes right by starting right here between our ears. And sometimes, if you find yourself sitting around in a home that has piles of things, you feel really overwhelmed. I know that Christina is a completely judgment-free zone. Doesn't matter why it got that way. She can help you get it right again and help you to maintain it on your own. Christina, tell everybody where they can find you online. And if they're looking for if you're in the Oklahoma City metro area and you need some help with your pantry, with your life, with your laundry, your dishes, to get a system in place that you can actually move forward, where can people find you online?
Yes. So you can go to my website at www.declutterqueen, or you can find me on Facebook or Instagram at Decluttering Queen. Okay. And yeah.
Awesome. And that website is declutter-queen.com.
Yes.
Is that right?
Okay. Yes, it is.
Put in the dash, declutter-queen.com.
Yes.
Thank you. And
so
go find
much.
her online on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, Declutter Queen OK. She's right here in the Oklahoma City metro area, and I know that she'll do a great job at an affordable price for you. Thank you, Christina, so much for being my guest, and thank you for being a queen that leads.
Oh, well, you are so welcome. Yeah. Love ya.
The Queen's Lead podcast is recorded worldwide and produced by the kick-ass media team at the Height Digital home base in Nicaragua. Until our next episode, stay real, Queens, and go lead. Remember to tap that follow and leave your review. For freebies and more real, inspiring content you love, go to amysingleton.net and connect with Amy on our socials at @TheRealAmySingleton.
One more thing. This is the legal language, what my lawyer wrote and what I need to read to you. This podcast is presented for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am Amy Singleton, and I'm just your friend. Although I may speak to many on this show, I am not a psychotherapist, a business coach, a doctor, a CPA, a lawyer, or probably anyone who should be giving you professional advice. This podcast is not a substitute for a relationship with your doctor, coach, or any other licensed professional. Got it? Good. Now go be a queen and follow me at The Real Amy Singleton.